Hello friends, welcome to another episode of Magic Monday. Today we're looking at a deck I simply have called Warlocks. It is a Warlock tribal deck, which is about as good as you'd expect a Warlock tribal deck to be. Our commander here is the Hourglass Coven. This is kind of our game-breaking card when it is allowed to do its thing. So when the Hourglass Coven enters the battlefield, draft a card from the Hourglass Coven spellbook twice, then put those cards onto the battlefield. Other warlocks you control get +1/1. And there are 9 different hag warlocks in the spellbook. Things like, at the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Or warlocks you control have ward, pay 2 life. Things like that. So in terms of the deck list, we have 20 Warlock creatures and then a couple of oddballs, like a Shapeshifter, which is Metallic Mimic, which we can make a Warlock. So it is very much a Warlock tribal deck. 2 instants, 6 sorceries, 17 artifacts, 11 enchantments, 2 planeswalkers, and 40 lands with an average mana cost of 3.2. So, Warlocks, like Cursebound Witch, which also has the draft a card ability here. We've got a ghost form, which we ideally put on our Hourglass Coven and then sacrifice it to something. It comes right back. We get to create 2 more Warlocks. Basically, what we want to do is we want to get as many of these Hag Warlocks out with Hourglass Coven as possible. Warlock class, because it fits, and also it's a pretty decent card. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, each opponent loses a life. And then the final ability, at the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses life equal to the amount of life they lost this turn. So basically doubles damage to opponents on my turn. We've got some control things like Agonizing Remorse and Epic Downfall and Check for Traps. Arrogant Poet is just a cheap warlock to get out that can be a flyer if I pay 2 life. Another cheap warlock here with Cabal Initiate. There's not that many warlocks in Arena, and that's unfortunate. Now, Grim Wanderer is pretty cool because I can flash it into play on my opponent's turn if need be, if the opportunity presents itself. Leech Fanatics, and not just another warlock. Piper the Swarm, believe it or not, is actually a warlock, and I get to create rat tokens and potentially gain control of target creature if I sacrifice them. But this is nice just to make some blockers. Vengeful Strangler is not a warlock, but it is a good sacrifice target because when it dies, it is attached to a creature or planeswalker an opponent controls, and that permanent's controller sacrifices a non-land permanent and loses a life each turn. So it's just a little bit of a whittling down, and it's a nice thing to sacrifice for mana or for whatever. Our normal assortment of mana rocks here with Cold Steel Heart, Arcane Signet. I do have the Vecna items in here. So Vecna, if you get all 3 of the Vecna items, that being Eye of Vecna, Hand of Vecna, and the Book of Vile Darkness, then you get to make Vecna, which is an 8/8 legendary black zombie god with indestructible and all of the abilities of the 3 cards. It's a rare feat to get all 3 out, but it's cool that it's here as a possibility. As I said, Metallic Mimic to get our Warlocks +1/1 counters when they come out, because why not? Pyre of Heroes, we could sacrifice a Warlock and then go grade another Warlock, which is kind of nice. Like I said with some of these cheap ones, Cabal Initiate, we can get out something better. Bastion of Remembrance, because it's just a good staple card. Callous Blood Mage is a warlock and it has some versatility with its abilities. Now this one is a little bit dicey. You got to be careful with this because all creatures get -2/2 until end of turn, and then exile all creature cards in all graveyards that were put there from battlefield this turn. So ideally, we get our warlocks big enough that we only lose 1 or 2, and this can be good in wiping out small elf swarms or whatever. Like, this can be a good control card. Another control here with destroy, target a creature an opponent controls, and then Saga Step 2 is they have to discard a card, and then we exile their graveyard. Go blank, another control here with discard 2 cards, and then they exile their graveyard. Human Warlock. This one makes zombie tokens a little bit better, and sometimes we get zombie tokens and sometimes we don't, but it's just a warlock, and I can make zombie tokens if the situation presents itself. Another hit thing here, just like that Cry of the Carnarium, this is Malicious Malfunction. These alliterations are killing me right now. So same idea, -2/2 until end of turn, and if a creature dies, exile it. Minions return, great thing to put on the Hourglass Coven, and then sacrifice it so it comes right back. Sedgemoor Witch to make some pest tokens, just to keep some life gain going. Another Warlock here, but this time I get to surveil when my stuff dies. Tempting Witch to make a food token, and it's a Warlock and whatever. I already showed you Book of Vile Darkness, that lets us make a zombie token if we lost 2 or more life in a turn. In my turn. This is just to whittle them down and be kind of annoying, honestly. So we got another Mana Rock here, but because it's a mono black deck, it does give them a little strength boost. This is nice because you get to choose Warlock. They all get +1/1, and then I can look at the top 3 of my library and reveal a Warlock from among them and put it into my hand. Sword of Body and Mind to have that green-blue protection. Those 2 colors are really popular, so this can pay off big time. Celestius, just for another Mana Rock. Transmogrifying Wand is just a nice removal card that I like. It does give them 2/4 Ox tokens, but you can remove some really powerful stuff and just give them like basically the equivalent of like Giant Spider from Alpha, but without the reach ability. Like it's just a nothing card. Those Oxes, I mean. And another Warlock here. This one does 1/1 counters, and we got another one here where if I gain or lose life on my turn, put a 1/1 counter on it, and she's a flyer. Chittering Witch creates a rat token, which could be helpful when I've got the Piper out. But I can also sacrifice any creature, it doesn't have to be a rat, and target creature gets -2/2. Removal with E to Extinction, Erebus, because sometimes my creatures die, and then I get to draw a card and pay 2 life, and if I've got Book of Vile Darkness out, then I get to make a zombie token. And you see how this is going. Whenever I draw my second card each turn, each opponent loses 2 life and I gain 2 life, and then when this dies, return a card from my graveyard to the battlefield. Can be pretty helpful, especially because these hags that you draft actually cost 3 mana. They are not tokens, these are actual cards. So if one of them dies, and I've got this Puppeteer out, I could sacrifice this for 2 black mana to that land, this one, Phyrexian Tower. I can sacrifice it with Phyrexian Tower, bring back one of my dead hags, and get 2 black mana out of it. So it's a good versatile card. Leyline of the Void to be annoying to opponents, to make them all their stuff that goes into a graveyard exiled instead. Another Warlock here, sacrifice a creature, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Just because sometimes it's useful to have stuff go to your graveyard in a black deck. Search your library for a card and put it into your graveyard, then shuffle. If it's an instant or sorcery, put a 1/1 counter on this guy. If you end up with like a bunch of lands, and you've got plenty of lands right now, you can use this and just dump some swamps, so you've got a better chance of drawing a useful card. Or you can actually find an instant and sorcery if the opponent has hexproof and you don't want to waste spaces with, go blank or whatever. What was it called? Go blank, gone blank, gone. Go blank. It is go blank. So if they've got hexproof, you can't target them. You might as well dump it out of the deck and get this guy a 1/1 counter. But honestly, he's just a Warlock to have because it's a themed deck. Revenge of Ravens to stop, again, those little swarm decks and to whittle down opponents. Vraska's Contempt for removal. Cosmos Elixir because it's a nice versatile card. Gain some life, draw some cards, or scry, whatever. Helm of the Host. Putting this on Hourglass Coven is like the ultimate goal here, because every single turn you're making a copy of that Hourglass Coven, and it's fantastic. Mirror of Life Trapping, just to control certain situations. It can be a real pain for the opponents, because whenever a creature enters the battlefield, if it was cast, exile it, then return all other permanent cards exiled with Mirror of Life Trapping to the battlefield under their owner's control. So if I already have my Warlocks out or my Hourglass Coven out, and I've got a plan to put whatever to get them to create more, if I've already got enough Warlocks, This is good because it can actually prevent like a commander from entering a battlefield for my opponent. Panharmonicon, because it can make it happen twice, which is really great with Hourglass Coven. Black Market, just to get more black mana to spend on stuff. Exquisite Blood is great because it helps me gain life to offset the stuff like Erebus's, pay 2 life to draw a card or whatever. This little guy here is just a common from the D&D set that they did. But if the game is kind of slowing down and in a bit of a stalemate, that Circle of Death ability can be useful to just whittle them down some more. Witch of the Moors, if you gained life this turn, each opponent sacrifices a creature and you return up to one target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Great for bringing back already drafted hags that have been killed and are sitting there in your graveyard because, again, they are not tokens, they are actual cards. Young Necromancer, again, bring stuff back to the battlefield. Vanquisher's Banner, because it is a tribal deck, I like to include this in most of my tribal decks. Just makes them bigger and helps with card draw. Liliana helps with card draw, helps with some control, can make some zombie tokens. And I'm disconnected for some reason. I don't know why. But hopefully the server comes back to life. If not, you pretty much got the theme. You've got it down here. Vraska helps with removal. Barad-dûr is nice because you can amass orc tokens and then sacrifice them. Cabal Stronghold for more mana. I've got the Shrine to Nyx in here, Castle Locthwain in here, and I don't know what's going on with the server, but it's being angry. So we're going to call it right there. We're going to jump into some games. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, like, comment, subscribe, all those things. And as always, please be kind to yourselves and each other. Let's get the games going.